Hello, just gonna do a small short video on gardening and astrology, specifically gardening by the moon, which is one of the most ancient, long-lasting, time-tested applications of astrology and following moon cycles is gardening. Now, I don't have a huge operation here, but I do have a small garden I've been learning to tend for a few years now, and I have made some basic observations, nothing anything too deep. One of my favorite, most useful applications is pulling weeds. So life is a series of planting seeds and pulling weeds, and when it comes to pulling weeds, there are times based on the moon cycle where it's easier or harder, because when the moon is waxing to full, getting fuller from being a new moon into a full moon, it pulls on the earth. This is what happens with tides. There's all kinds of different tides based on not only the moon's phase, but what time of year it is too. And different things about the moon being farther away from or closer to the earth will affect it too, which those things will affect the gardening too. But at the most basic level, we just look at the phase. And if the moon is waxing, the earth is pulling on things more. And hypothetically, if you pull the weeds and any roots are left behind, we know we're supposed to get all the roots or they're just going to grow back. But especially if you're pulling weeds and some roots get left behind and it's a waxing moon, the earth is pulling at those even more, and they're like setting in and they're not going to go away. Whereas but they're just harder to pull at. I've tried this out tons of times where I will go ahead and go against it and I'll try to pull some weeds while the moon is waxing, even though that's not supposedly the best time, and they are harder. The earth is gripping much tighter. Now, when the moon is waning, getting smaller from full to dark, the earth is letting go easier. It's not pulling as tight. So when I go to pull my weeds, it feels like the earth isn't pulling as tight at them, and it feels like they come out like butter. Especially I feel like, and I have tested with like closer to, like the moon is waning, but it's still close to a full moon, kind of where we are right now, where the moon's only 2 signs away from where it was when it was full, or compared to if the moon is waning and almost dark, then I feel like it's the closer we are to a dark moon, the smaller the moon is, the easier the earth lets go and the easier the weeds come up. And as far as when the moon is waxing, if you happen to, sometimes things happen and you can't wait till the moon's waning to pull your weeds, and you need to do it now and the moon is waxing. Well, if it's close to full, the closer the moon is to full, the harder it's going to be. I have tried this, man. I tried pulling some weeds a few days before the moon was full, just last month, I think it was, and it was a pain. It hurt. They did not want to let go. But if you catch it when the moon is just barely waxing from new, it'll be less hard. And now, so you have that basic idea of the moon holding on tighter, the earth holding on tighter when the moon is waxing, and the moon holding on less tight and letting go easier when it's waning. And then you just have your overall symbolism of when you want things to grow, you do them while the moon is waxing and growing. And when you want things to diminish, shrink, or let go of things, you do them when the moon is waning. I got a cat trying to get in. Behind the curtain. So that's for pulling weeds. Now, as far as planting goes, I'm no super expert on it, just made a few observations. Textbooks go, you're supposed to plant root crops, things like potatoes and carrots, while the moon is, it'd be really horrible if I mess this up on a video and put it out there, so I'm going to double check. Plant root crops on waxing or waning moon. Okay, plant your above ground crops, fruit bearing crops, while the moon's waxing till it's full, and your root crops like potatoes and carrots while it's waning and getting smaller. And also things to do with trimming. People do trimming based on the moon phase. If you want things to grow back, dear Lord. You want things that you're trimming to grow back more full and voluptuous, you trim it on a waxing moon for growth. Same thing with your hair. You want to trim your hair for it to grow back thicker and fuller, do it on a waxing moon. If you want to trim things to diminish them and let them go, you need to do it on and make them hope that they don't come back as big or as much. You trim it on a waning moon. All right, that's basically all I had to say on the matter. Planting, pulling weeds, trimming according to the moon. Thank you for listening to my short little Gardening with Astrology transmission. And until next time.